Hello, everybody. So, I wanted to sit and discuss something, really just kind of think about it out loud, as I do. But if you haven't been keeping up with my channel, which you probably have, because I think YouTube only recommends my videos to the same 150 people. but I I've kind of been I have been going on like a deep personal journey in which I mean all who hasn't, right? We just went through 2020. Um, we just went through the whole Trump presidency, blah 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 blah, pandemic, Black Lives Matter. You know, who hasn't been going on a personal journey? But my life was already in the the bouts of that. I don't know if that's a word, how I use that word, in the throes of that. When probably right before Trump got elected, and and yeah, and just was, a down and into the abyss experience from there on out. And then in 2020, I just, it was like I sunk down, from 2016 to 2020, just further and further and further and further until I felt like last year I went so far into the darkness that I started somehow to come up the other side again. And I came up like, but this time I wasn't like back on earth. I was just like, I came up around the other side with the sun, and that was like my perspective. It was like I'm back, but now I can see everything, and I can see why this happens and how this connects to this, and it helped me look at my life in a almost a depersonalized way, which I found very helpful because in the I was just overcome by so much emotion, and emotional pain and all that. And to be able to somehow see it from the perspective from a non-personal perspective, really helped me process, and kind of retell this whole narrative that I had been inside me, retell in my head my narrative of my own story. And anyway, but that's not really what this is about. This kind of like the preamble. But I when I started trying to heal myself, like actively heal myself instead of just because at first I didn't care. I was in that place where I was like, nothing matters. Everything I had worked for, I had voluntarily left and thrown away, paradoxically, to save myself, because I had put all this effort towards this and then realized that it was killing me. And then, I walked away from everything. And that's a very general kind of telling of that story. But anyway, last year was the first, I actually started to try to heal myself instead of just cope with existing in that kind of state, and exploring myself in that kind of state, which might be a talk for another video. But during the process of healing, of going through last year, I was having migraines like every other day, every few days at first. I started having migraines maybe like 4 years before that. Late in life, I started getting headaches and blah blah blah. It has to do with stress and lack of sleep and being overworked and all that kind of stuff. And but after each migraine, the migraines I had during this time last year were different. Kind of, I would get serious migraines that lasted 36 hours. I'm like vomiting. I can do nothing except just like sit in silence and just rock back and forth. I remember when I finally was able to have migraines where I could get myself to sleep at some level, because I couldn't, the pain used to be so great. Sleep wasn't not an option. And it was just bearing through it as best as I could until it was over. But the migraines started to get less and less. They started to come around less frequently, and they started slowly being a little shorter. They started to have a little less like serious pain. And like little by little, where it was just like, oh, that one was bad, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it used to be, you know. And I started, after a long while, like late last year, I started to realize how I felt after them. That I somehow felt better. You know, I had gotten them because I had worked myself up, or that's the wrong way to put it. That has such a negative connotation. But I'd gone so many places in my head, and became so tired, I guess, and the stress, experiencing the stress that comes with healing your mind, you know, and until I eventually would just have a migraine, and then the day, like when you first get done with a migraine, it and you don't have pain anymore, and you're like up. For me, I just feel like completely relaxed, but almost in a good way, you know, where it's just for a little bit, my brain's not moving, I'm not tense, and I'm just there, and I'm relaxed, and then later in the year last year, as the migraines came less and less frequently, when they did come, and they'd be over, I would realize, I don't know, I swear I realized like a pattern. It's like I would have this huge epiphany. I would dissect it and see how it applied to all these different things in my life, and then I would go through the emotions, like realizing things, and then I would end up having a migraine, and then when it was over, it was like I somehow had it's like the migraine itself was helping to reprogram my head, if you want to put it that way. It was like I would wake up after the migraine was all done, and what I had been grappling with that caused the migraine would be at peace. This was just my experience with all this, but it was almost like the last thing my body went through. It was like the physical manifestation of my brain going through and dealing with all of this, and then once that was over, then it was like it was done. It was like, and I felt like that one little area in my head was clean, like it was no longer tense and cobwebby and confused, and I felt I was a little less heavy, you know, in my heart and in my body, and anyway, I hadn't, yesterday I woke up with a migraine, and I haven't had one for quite a while, at least, I want to say it's like at least a couple months, but I haven't really looked, so I wonder if it's just like a month, or, no, it has to be at least a couple months, at least, maybe a few months, because it really just it stopped happening during the month and would just come like a day or two after I had my period, which isn't that unexpected, you know. Sometimes women will do that with their period, but anyway, I had one not aligned with my period yesterday, and I remembered that. I remember, oh, I'm having a migraine again, and I almost like accepted it, like a whipping boy, accepted the thrashing, accepted that I had brought it on myself, but that it was necessary for me to do those other things, and to do what I had done that brought it on. And perhaps other people can regulate themselves more where they don't have to run themselves into a wall before they crash. But that is definitely kind of a habit or a cycle in my life that I'm trying to get better at. Like I have a habit of just doing something until there's nothing left to be done. Going until I cannot go anymore. Um, I don't know why that's my tendency. Uh, and I feel like I'm getting better now that I can recognize that. And the migraine I had yesterday, that I woke up from yesterday, wasn't nearly as bad. I did throw up, but the whole experience was shorter. It wasn't as intense, and I just, like I said, I just approached it differently. I knew I was here, and I knew the heightened peace that I would feel afterwards that would stick with me. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, it worked. The work doesn't help me go through it without fighting it, and with a lot less stress. I felt when it was over and I was like better again and able to eat and walk around, and um, I just felt really different. It was like the other times where I did feel a little better, a little different, as in like healed, a little more returned to like prime Jamie-ness, and yeah, I don't know why. I just need to figure out. I just need to keep getting better and better at pushing, and maybe I just don't need to push. Maybe that's what it is. I don't need to push, and I do need to know when I need to stop. And I want to be so productive. I grew up having that just ingrained in me, and I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I know that that's it's like a credo of the culture of that time. And I do have that kind of in me where I feel like I want to do things. I want it to, but I wonder if that's just not to prove to other people. I want to be very, very productive so that I can prove to other people that I'm worthy. Because, I guess I could say that, like socially, at any age, that's what's always saved me, I think. And that's what helped me that's what made me feel confident. And is that for some reason I could always do things. I might be unaware that how different I am coming across, that I'm doing things differently, that other people think I'm weird. I don't know, but then when it came around to doing things, like I could always just do them. Like, I discovered this when I was really young, and I didn't understand. I do see it as just a gift, I'm not saying that I'm brilliant or anything, but just like I see things and I figure it out, and then I just go do it. And so, like in elementary school, like I remember in first grade, I like to tell this story. There was this kid who had a birthday party, and it's first grade, so it's like your first year of like real school, and this whole notion of parties and is new at school, and just, well, for me, just in general. And so there are games. We had all these games for this kid's party in class, and I won all the games. I won every single game, and I wasn't having a good time. I was just. I'm a go-getter, and my dad's a go-getter. He brought me up to be a go-getter, and I was just enjoying myself. And then at the end, I realized that the birthday boy was crying. I think his name was like Timothy. I don't know these people anymore. And I didn't understand why he was crying. Gosh, I think my mother was there. And she explained to me that it was because he had lost all the games at his birthday party. I don't know why I'm crying. And white bunnies, white bunnies. Okay, and it made him feel sad because it was his birthday, and I had not even thought of that, and I felt terrible. And so I had all of these like prizes because I won every single game, and and so I asked like sheepishly if I could, like, I chose one, and that I really liked, and one of the prizes, and I asked if I could keep this one, and maybe give all of the other prizes to him for his birthday. You know, that I won. Just go give it to him and be like, "Happy birthday!" And she was like, "Yeah, that's probably nice." And so I did. I kept the one. It was like a thing. I don't know what it was. A small little toy of some sort. And I took all the other toys and I brought them over to him, and I said, "Here, you could have these for your birthday." And I remember all these. Every time I learn something like that, I swear it just embeds in my memory. It's just shock. It's just, what? I didn't know that we were supposed that the whole point of having, I don't know, that was like some kind of social etiquette. I wasn't trying to be like overbearing, and I don't know what word you would choose for just someone who has fun at figuring things out and playing games. And I don't know, I'm quick, and I learn quickly, and I'm relatively like athletic, and so I just found things easy to do. I could just, if I tried something, I could do it. And socially, this either just made things worse because now the weird girl's good at everything, or it made things a little easier because some people would then dismiss my oddities because I was talented. And then it took me a while growing up before I realized the whole fakeness of that kind of a relationship. Ugh. Anyway, socializing is hard. My point is I woke up yesterday from a migraine, and I feel more transformed again. And hopefully I can keep transforming for good, just learning to do it without the pain, because I truly believe that there are multiple ways to accomplish things. There are multiple ways to get to the same answer. I really believe that in life, and so I don't think you have to learn through pain. I mean, you can learn through pain, but I think you can also learn lessons through other means that don't involve that, and hopefully that will be what I do from now on. Anyway, thanks for listening to this very long ramble. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. Have a good day.